Hello, nerds! Thank you for joining me. This is Generally Nerdy. This show is your week in nerddom, and there's things going on that we're going to be talking about. This is your place for nerd news headlines. Everything, all the music and comic books and gaming and TV and movies and everything in between. But before we get to the in between, we've got to hit the intro. So yeah, first things first, we have a little bit of housekeeping to do because I just got my book in the mail. I am going to be doing a review not just of this book, but will also be interviewing the author, Lauren Cohen. This is kind of one of those things that, you know, when you've done a couple of reviews, people start to hit you up. And his PR lady, she hit me up and said, "Hey, would you like to do an interview?" And I said, "Absolutely." And she said, "Would you like to read the book?" And I said, "I would prefer to read the book, actually." And I'm really kind of old school when it comes to my reading habits because I feel so much better when I have the physical copy. She's like, "I can send you the PDF and you can read it and I'll get it to you tonight." And I was like, well, I would prefer the physical book. So it just came. That interview is scheduled for later this month. It will be posted probably a few days after it happens. But yeah, super excited about this. I think that's all the housekeeping we have. I want to read you the back of the book so you guys know, because I've done a little bit of research, but mostly on the author, so I don't really know a whole lot about the book. So I'm gonna read you the synopsis off of the back. We have: crystal shop owner and quick-witted sorceress Drew Jasper is the guardian of the Apocalypse Scroll, an ancient instrument of destruction held in check by 7 blood-red seals. All but one have been broken. Now, a chilling cohort of soul-devouring wraiths has risen from the netherworld to crack open the final seal. If Drew and her misfit friends can't stop them, the world will come to a fiery end. No pressure or anything. These freakishly evil spirits can kill with a mere touch, making them impossible to fight by mortal means. To keep the Apocalypse Scroll out of their clutches, Drew must solve a 2,000-year-old magical mystery, find a city lost in the lost in the netherworld, and unearth a crystal older than the earth itself. Can she elude the forces of darkness long enough to save her friends and safeguard the scroll forever before the undead break the 7th seal and bring on doomsday? It's where we're at. So the author, Lawrence Lawrence McNaughton is the author of more than a dozen works of fiction, including 3 previous novels in the Drew Jasper series. He lives in Colorado with his wife and a bunch of classic cars. So that interview will be coming. I am trying to work out as long a form for the interview as possible. I'll keep you guys posted. But that's that. Again, that's all we have for housekeeping. So now we have notes to get in hand, and we're going to do all of the news. And we're starting off with music news. We don't have a whole lot of music news, but there's a whole lot everywhere else. So we'll knock music out real quick, and then we'll hit up everything. So first off, we have another update on the Dragonforce saga. I say it that way because it's become that kind of. So Stevie T, YouTube personality, YouTube music personality, was supposed to go on tour with Dragonforce. It was a temporary gig. He was just their fill-in bass player, though likely the option would have been there at the end of the tour. "Hey, you did great. Do you want to join the band?" So that was a potential thing. And so something that I feel like a fair amount of people don't really know is a lot of people who are big on YouTube, a lot of people who at least live doing YouTube as their job, have social issues, have anxiety issues, I guess more specifically. And Stevie T is one of them. I feel like a fair amount of musical YouTubers are included in this group, not the least of which Leo Maracchioli, so Stevie's got some really good company there. But Stevie's got anxiety issues, and the anxiety of playing on this tour and playing with a famous band like Dragonforce, who I mean, Herman Lee is kind of a guitar god. There's no doubting that. Sam Totem, also amazing guitar player. So that was pressure in and of itself, but then also being in front of thousands of people every night kind of started to wear at Stevie, so much so that it consumed his life, and you can watch the video that I have linked down in the description so you can get his side of it. But, I mean, it makes sense. I did not know that Stevie had anxiety issues, and I fully empathize. I do not personally have those anxiety issues, but I have worked with and currently work with a few people who do. So I totally understand how that can be all encompassing, and Stevie, either way, we're going to keep watching your channel, boss. So keep up the good work. Unfortunately, he is not going to be Dragonforce's temporary bass player. I don't remember the name of the guy they got to fill in because I didn't look into that side of it necessarily, but still really unfortunate, because it would have been awesome for Stevie, would have definitely raised his profile quite a bit. But that's what we've got there. We've got one other piece. Like I said, we have two pieces in music, and the other one is The Who. Now, for anyone who knows me personally, you know that when in the epic conversation of Beatles or Stones, man, my answer was always The Who. Hidden answer W, Who. I love The Who. And they're putting out new music, which is also freaking awesome. And not just that, but it's like... So Pete Townsend said that he feels like this is the best thing they've put out since Quadrophenia. I don't necessarily know about that, because Quadrophenia still had all four members in the band that nobody had passed yet, so it might be a little bit of a stretch. But they've released two official tracks off the record. They also premiered a live performance of a third track. I did not write down the name of the third track because we can't go listen to it, so why worry about it yet? But we did get the music for All This Music Will Fade is the one that came out just this morning, and then just this morning. As you're watching this, it was yesterday. And then the other song is Ball and Chain. Both sound like great Who songs. Lyrical content wise is kind of even better. Like they kind of, and this is gonna sound like I'm making fun, but I'm really not. They kind of sound like angry old dudes, because they're kind of angry old dudes. It's so awesome. It's so awesome. Definitely go check out those tracks linked in the description below. Not so much on All This Music Will Fade. It was good, but I feel like the better of the two is Ball and Chain. Definitely go check those out. Let me know what you think. And then we gotta just move on. Let us talk about the TV news. And as we know, New York Comic Con was this past weekend, which is why the last couple episodes have kind of been a little less on the info. And this one's going to be a little bit more on the info. Mostly trailers and such, but still, we've got a lot of stuff to cover, so let's get into it. First, Helstrom is a thing. With all of the craziness that has been going on with Ghost Rider, we forgot to talk about Helstrom. Helstrom is in production, and we don't know exactly who is going to be in this show. It's going to be on Hulu, much like Ghost Rider was supposed to be, but we don't know anything. We don't know who the cast is at all. So who is going to play Daimon and Satana Helstrom, or Anna Helstrom, still is unknown, and they're filming right now. So maybe Hulu has something to teach the rest of the world about keeping secrets. Next, we are talking about The Walking Dead. No, we are not talking about the premiere episode because, spoilers are a thing and I don't want to upset the folks out there in the nerd world. But we are going to be talking about Lauren Cohen. Much like we assumed and was kind of a known secret for a long time, Lauren Cohen will be returning to The Walking Dead. It has been made official. Cohen and Angela Kang, who is the showrunner on The Walking Dead, made the announcement at New York Comic Con when Lauren Cohen came on stage, kind of sort of dressed as Negan in disguise, and so she takes off the thing, and then it's Maggie. So we will be seeing Maggie sooner than we thought, actually. She will be making her appearance and will be counted as a guest star in this season, in season 10, and then will return to her regular role in season 11. So she will become a regular on the season once again next season. Which also means that we got the official announcement that AMC has signed on the show for an 11th season. I'm totally behind it, and we're moving on. Next, we got a trailer for The Lost in Space Season 2 over on Netflix. The Lost in Space, where did that "the" come from? For Lost in Space Season 2 on Netflix. Definitely watch it. If you liked the first season, you're going to love what you see in this trailer. Like we've said in previous episodes, they have completed the principal photography. They are working now in post, and it will be just a matter of time before we get to see the actual season. I'm super stoked. Premiere, speaking of, is December 24th of this year, so hooray. Next, we're talking about Picard, Star Trek Picard. We finally got a release date for that one as well over on the CBS app, All Access, whatever. January 23rd, so we're a month further out on that than we are on Lost in Space, but January 23rd is the official release date as explicitly laid out in their new trailer for the new season, which you see Riker and you see Data and you see all the awesome that is going to be this Picard series. I freaking can't wait. They're really trying hard to dethrone Deep Space Nine as my Trek, so have at it, guys. Next, speaking of honest attempts to dethrone Deep Space Nine as the best Star Trek, Star Trek Discovery released their Season 3 trailer, and so with this 930 years into the future nonsense, we don't know exactly what to expect, and this trailer doesn't really answer much of that, actually, which is, again, a great thing that they've learned to not give away their secrets in trailers anymore. Definitely go watch that in the notes, the all of the stuff in the description, show notes, whatever. Next is another trailer, but this one is on a streaming service that you might not expect to see original content. CW Seed is getting a Deathstroke series. That's right, a Deathstroke series. It's animated, so it's not live action, so there's a lot less production that goes into it, but the voice of Deathstroke is going to be none other than Ben Grimm himself, Michael Chiklis, which is kind of freaking awesome. Check out the trailer. Again, I linked it down in the show notes. And this is not what I expected. Like, I kind of expected this to be something along the same lines of, like, their animated universe, the movies and stuff. But this is a lot more mature. So be warned, there's blood. And then our last piece of TV news has to do with Crisis on Infinite Earths. This is really just a minor update, but it's interesting nonetheless. Executive producer Mark Guggenheim confirmed just the other day that for the Smallville Superman, so Tom Welling's Superman, the season 11 comic book that they produced will be considered canon. So that will give us at least a little bit more of a bridge between when Smallville went off the air and now Crisis on Infinite Earths. So there you go. Go read season 11 before we get to that event in December. Now let's move over to movie news, and surprisingly there wasn't as much in movie news as I was expecting. First up, we have an update on The Matrix. Now, we've talked a number of times on the show about rumored Matrix movies, and then we got the announcement that Lana Wachowski was going to be writing and producing a Matrix 4, which then kind of everyone assumed meant that the rumored Matrix movie, which was going to be a prequel and potentially starring Michael B. Jordan, wasn't going to be happening. Well, the screenwriter for that movie, Zach Penn, took to Twitter to announce that yes, in fact, there are 2 Matrix movies that are in pre-production over at Warner Brothers. His prequel, which again has been rumored to be the prequel story on how Morpheus came to be in power. It came to be in charge of a ship in the Matrix universe. Again, potentially with Michael B. Jordan attached to likely play Morpheus, though all of that bit is definitely rumor. And also the other movie is Matrix 4. So Matrix 4 is the second of the two because, again, Zach Penn's script is quite a bit older than the announcement that Lana was going to be stepping back into her director, producer, writer role. So I'm super excited. I love the Matrix universe. Granted, the second and third movies were not nearly as strong as the first one, but I am still a huge fan, so that's freaking awesome. And then we got an update from Sam Raimi at New York Comic Con that, in fact, there is a new Evil Dead movie in the works. But it was kind of vague from there. So Raimi, who was not there to promote Evil Dead, he was there to promote a different project, said that there is going to be a new Evil Dead project that he and Bruce Campbell are going to be producing, but there's going to be a different director and a different star. So this will not be, presumably, this will not be a continuation of Ash vs. the Evil Dead, the series, nor will it be a continuation of the Bruce Campbell version of the Evil Dead from years past, the 80s, I believe. So Army of Darkness, Evil Dead 2, Evil Dead, the great ones. This potentially will, though, be a sequel to the Evil Dead that we got in 2013. So it could be more bland modern horror, or it could be something great. We don't quite know just yet, but not much else is known. So that's really all we have for movies right now. Now we are talking about gaming news, and gaming news, we've got House of the Dead is getting officially remade. Sega and Forever Entertainment have struck a deal to make not only House of the Dead, but its sequel, House of the Dead 2. Probably not with the really bad horror movie properties that were attached to it. Thank you very much, Uwe Boll. Next, we are talking about Fallout, and this one's really interesting because you don't see releases like this very often, especially in the gaming world anymore. Fallout is releasing something they're calling the Legacy Collection, which is every game up to Fallout 4. So I believe that's 6 games. You've got Fallout, Fallout 2, Fallout Tactics, Fallout 3, which will be the Game of the Year edition, Fallout New Vegas, and Fallout 4. So, 6 games. The bummer part there's 2 bummer parts about this, because first of all, it's going to be only released on the PC, which sucks because my computer cannot play 3 and 4 for sure. Potentially Tactics and backwards, but not 3 forward. Definitely not 3 forward. So that really stinks. But then the other half that really sucks is on October 25th, it is only going to be released in Germany and the UK. Which is interesting coming from an American publisher. Like, I understand when a Japanese publisher produces a game that is only released in Japan, or likewise in Korea and so on and so forth. Or if Bethesda was based in Germany or the UK, also would make sense. But they're not. They're based in the States, and they're only releasing this, which I feel like is long overdue. I don't know why they didn't do this when they were promoting Fallout 4, because that would have been the perfect time to do it. But also, why they're not doing this as a worldwide release just doesn't make much sense to me, but that is what it is. October 25th, again, if you are in the UK or Germany, you get the complete collection up to Fallout 76. So you do not, Fallout 76 is not included. Everything included is up to Fallout 4. So the last thing we've got deals with next-gen consoles, specifically the Xbox Scarlet. Microsoft rather, just got published some patents that they filed last year for some really interesting interfaces for a gaming console. The first one is a pad that kinda sorta resembles the Nintendo pad back in the days of the NES. only it's a sensor for VR so that multiple people can be in the same VR. I don't know why that's much different from the cameras, but somehow the pad makes it easier to have multiple VR headsets in one space. So that's cool. I totally dig it. But also this setup, according to the plans, I guess you would call it, that they have published, the setup kind of assumes you have a whole bunch of space for this VR pad. I don't know a whole lot of gamers, unless they're professional or older and not playing games as frequently, who have a whole lot of room for a VR pad. So that kind of sucks. But the other patent that they just got published, that was filed again back in 2018, is some sort of stylus that also has something to do with geomapping for VR, so that the camera can see you better, but it has a gyro in it so that it senses. You're looking at the pictures, assuming I'm not rushing the edit. You're looking at the pictures, and I can't really make out exactly what's going on, but it looks like there's gyroscopic elements to it, so you can rotate things differently. Again, I feel like we already have interfaces that will do this. Presumably, this just makes it easier / smaller. So, I mean, interesting, but that opens up the question, how much is next gen going to be reliant on VR? Because from all accounts that we've heard so far, we haven't got a whole lot of upgrades from the current generation. Like, yes, everything is going to look better and load faster, but not the same amount of better as, let's say, Xbox 360 to Xbox One. And definitely not the same amount of difference between original Xbox and the Xbox 360. So I feel like those gaps are narrowing. It's interesting to think about. We don't have any concrete anything on this just yet, aside from these patents, and in the nature of patents, these might not ever actually see the light of day. They do have an entire development wing of the company that is dedicated to figuring these things out, and then they file a patent, and if it doesn't end up working out all the way through, then it doesn't see the light of day, but they own the patent, so nobody can steal their intellectual property, right? Well, theoretically, that's how that should work, but it's just interesting. I'm going to pass this one off to you guys. Do you think that the next generation of consoles will get a more even split with the VR and traditional style gaming? Like 50% of the games released on next gen will be VR. I'm hoping that's not the situation, but I want to hear what you guys have to say. What do you think next-gen gaming is going to bring us? And then we are moving into comic books, and with New York Comic Con, as we've been talking about a fair amount in this episode so far, with New York Comic Con having happened this past weekend, there's a fair amount of gaming stuff. Not a whole plethora. Like, yeah, there was some interesting stuff in panels, but that's not really breaking news necessarily. It's more, oh, that's really awesome that we're getting 10 more issues of this book, or whatever that the more smaller stuff was. This is, I feel like, some mostly larger pieces to talk about, except for possibly the first piece, which is Batman. Tom King, who is thankfully leaving the book in 6 more books, 7 more books, I think, because he just I think 79 is the last one that came out, and 80 is about to come out, but we got a picture from 80 that shows Batman in an MMA style ring, and he's just wearing the cowl and underwear, and I don't know what's going on here, but it's a thing that I just had to bring up. Do you guys, is that really going to be Bruce under the mask? Is it just going to be a wrestler paying homage to the Bat? I don't know what's going on. What do you guys think? I mean, it could be him fighting Bane in front of Gotham, because right now Bane's kind of running the show out there, so who knows? It's Tom King. Enough said. Next, we are talking about Chris Claremont. Yes, one of the most prodigious writers on the Marvel X-Men franchise is coming back. He was talking to Sci-Fi, first day with the new lips, I apologize, at New York Comic Con. And he is making a return, but he didn't say specifically to what book he was returning to. It's kind of presumed it would be the X-Men, because that's what the conversation lingered on. But I mean, he also wrote Fantastic Four from 1998 to 2000, so maybe he's going back to that book. He also was talking about the likelihood that he will be re-teaming with Salvador Larroca, who also did the Fantastic Four book with him back in 98 through 2000. So that's awesome. I love Chris Claremont. He wrote some of the greatest X-Men books ever. Between he and Hickman, Marvel is really pulling out the big guns right now because they're trying to re-up their readership. So I'm all for it. Bring Claremont back. Keep Hickman around like that. Yes, let's do that. Next, we are talking about Wolverine, who, now that he is finally fully alive, we are getting a new book. Wolverine issue number 1 will be written by Benjamin Percy, art by Adam Kubert and Victor Bogdanovich, and will be the first book will release February of 2020. Marvel fans across the world rejoice because we finally get our Wolverine back. Yes, please, and more, please. And then our last piece of news is an interesting piece. This is a new character in the Marvel Universe. Not new. She's getting her own book. Let's do it this way. So she's getting her own book. She came from Captain Marvel, and her name is Star. Having not read the Captain Marvel book from which she came, I do not understand why she's getting her own book, and from all accounts that I've seen so far, her origin story is super derivative from Captain Marvel. Again, haven't read the book, can't make a judgment on that one way or the other because I have, as I said, not read that book, but I don't see the need for this. If it comes out to be that she's a strong character in her own right, have at it. Go. You go, girl, as they would say in the 90s. Not anymore today. But if Captain Marvel already exists, so why would you create another character with a similar backstory just so you can have two Captain Marvels, two female-led books? I think that might be more politically accurate, but I don't get it. And we're gonna have to read the book, I guess, when it comes out. It's I couldn't find a release date, but I did find that the writer for the book is going to be Kelly Thompson, who is currently writing Captain Marvel and who created the character. So there is that. And now it's time for the rumor mill. So, rumor mill is not just reserved for TV and movies, even though that's primarily what it has been for the last few episodes since we started doing it. This rumor mill, though, is starting with a video game rumor. I don't know why I sang that, but there you go. So, the first rumor, and we've only got 2 rumors, and they're both sizable. I would say the second one's slightly bigger than the first, but either way, the first rumor has to do with Super Smash Bros. On the Nintendo Switch. So freaking awesome. So there is a rumor that the next round of DLC characters will only feature 2 Nintendo-owned properties. Those 2 properties are going to be Bandana Waddle Dee, who comes from Kirby, and Professor Egad, who comes from Luigi's Mansion. So obviously, those characters will come with all kinds of stuff from their respective games, rather. Sorry, words are a thing. But then the other 2 characters that the rumor says is going to come to the game kind of makes sense in that they're both geared toward kids, and one of them has long been rumored to have been in the game already. Every time we get a leak, a quote-unquote leak for this game, somebody says, "Ooh, Crash Bandicoot is going to be in this iteration of the DLC." And that hasn't happened yet. But that's what they're saying again, is that Crash Bandicoot, again, words. Crash Bandicoot is going to be in this version of this iteration of the DLC, this round of DLC. And the other one is Rayman. Both of them are going to come with spirits and such and stages that resemble their games, presumably. If this is for real, again, totally rumor, take it with a grain of salt. And then we're talking about the next one, which is Lex Luthor. What kind of rumor could be going around about Lex Luthor? Well, this one is a movie rumor. It seems that Warner Brothers, seeing the success of Joker, is starting to take a couple more chances, and the rumor goes that they're looking to create a Lex Luthor movie that will be, much like the Joker movie, sans the superhero around which this character was created. So there will be no Superman in this Lex Luthor movie, if this rumor is true. It will just be based on Lex Luthor's backstory and how he came into such great wealth and power. And that sounds interesting, not gonna lie. Though, also part of the rumor said that we were going to see Lex run for president and get the office, and all the while being married to Lois Lane. And then once he becomes president, Lois Lane will be the reporter that brings him down from the office. As in, there's going to be some scandal and she's the one that breaks the news. So I don't know how much of this to believe, but it is a lot of fun to think about. And these are your very interesting rumors. And that, guys, is the end of the episode. What did I miss? What should we talk about next episode? Let me know in the comments down below. If, though, you want to go deeper into the conversation, jump over to the website, generallynerdy.net. That is the place to go do all of the things and get all of the stuff, all of the freebies, and the contact, so you can hit me up and be like, yo, this is what I think about the thing, if you don't want to do that down in the comment section. So all of that stuff is up on generallynerdy.net, or you can go over to patreon.com and support the channel more directly. Patreon.com/generallynerdy is the place to do that. You can go, again, there's more content up there. It does come at a small fee though, but it's worth it, I feel like. If you're new to this channel though, don't forget to click the subscribe button and like the episode. Also, if you are falling behind in your nerd news and you want to catch up, you can click or tap the box right there to the left of my face to do that. But before we sign off once and for all for this episode, guys, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it is probably here.